Hello friends, Guten Tag. Welcome to the world of Pushkar's Wiki. Today's topic is very interesting and important in the current world history. Let's start the must known fact of the world history. Germany was defeated by the Allied powers in 1918 in World War I, and Berlin was totally destroyed by the Allied forces. Look at the video how Berlin was ruined. In 1919, after World War I, the Treaty of Versailles was imposed. The Treaty of Versailles placed heavy blame and punishment on Germany. Germany had to pay huge reparations money to the Allies. It lost territories and colonies. Its army was restricted to just 100,000 soldiers. The economy collapsed, people were unemployed, inflation skyrocketed, and the German people felt humiliated and hopeless. The new democratic government, called the Weimar Republic, was weak and unpopular. Many Germans felt betrayed, calling this the stab in the back, believing their leaders surrendered too easily. Amid this suffering, a man would rise to power who promised to restore Germany's pride. His name was Adolf Hitler. Adolf Alois Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889 in Braunau am Inn, a small town in Austria-Hungary, now Austria. His father Alois Hitler was a customs official, strict and often harsh with young Adolf. His mother, Klara Pölzl, was gentle and deeply affectionate towards him. Hitler had several siblings, but many of them died young. Only a few survived to adulthood. He was very attached to his mother, and her death from cancer in 1907, when Adolf was 17, deeply traumatized him. He attended several schools, performed inconsistently, and dropped out at age 16 without completing his secondary education. Teachers noted that he had a decent intellect but lacked discipline and perseverance. Hitler was a mediocre student. He was interested in arts and wanted to become a painter, but his father wanted him to work in a government service. After his father's death, Hitler moved to Vienna, dreaming of joining an art academy. In 1907 and 1908, he failed the entrance exams and he was rejected multiple times, being told he had the skill in architecture but lacked talent in figure drawing. He struggled with poverty, living in shelters and earning money by painting postcards. During this time in Vienna, Hitler was exposed to strong nationalist ideas that would later shape his political beliefs. In 1914, when World War I broke out, Hitler volunteered to fight for Germany, even though he was Austrian by birth. He served as a soldier on the Western Front, working as a messenger. He was wounded and temporarily blinded by a gas attack. For his bravery, he received the Iron Cross First Class, a rare honor for someone of his rank. When the war ended in Germany's defeat, Hitler was devastated. He could not accept that Germany had lost. Like many others, he believed in the stab in the back myth, the idea that traitors and politicians, not the army, were responsible for Germany's surrender. This belief fueled his hatred for the Treaty of Versailles and those he blamed for Germany's suffering. In the streets, protests and riot became common. Money lost its value due to high inflation. A loaf of bread could cost millions of marks. Veterans returned from war feeling betrayed, calling it a stab in the back. Among them was a young soldier, Adolf Hitler, a man with no wealth, no position, but a burning sense of grievance and a gift for fiery speeches. The rise of Nazism. In 1919, Hitler attended a meeting of a tiny political group, the German Workers' Party. They gathered in beer halls, talking about nationalism, anti-communism, and resentment of the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler, with his passion and charisma, quickly became the party's most powerful speaker. By 1920, the group renamed itself the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. Its symbol was the swastika, promised rebirth. Its message was simple: Germany was betrayed and it would rise again. The Nazi worldwide was built on extreme nationalism, racism, and the idea of a pure German race. The beliefs included Aryan race, especially the Nordic Germans, were superior, others are inferior, especially Jews, Romas, disabled people, Poles, and Slavs. The idea of Lebensraum, or living space, meant Germany should expand, conquering Eastern Europe to settle Germans. And finally, democracy and communism rejected. A single strong leader would guide the nation. In 1923, Hitler and his followers attempted to seize power in Bavaria in an event called the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup failed and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison, and in prison he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle, a blueprint for his vision: a strong, pure Germany, expansion into new territories, Lebensraum, and the elimination of those he blamed, Jewish and communists. After his release, Hitler worked to gain power legally. During the 1920s, Germany's economy improved briefly, but the Great Depression in 1929 brought mass unemployment and misery again. The Nazi Party used this crisis to gain power by promising jobs, restoring national pride, and blaming Jews and communists for Germany's problems. In 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest party in German parliament, Reichstag. In January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Adolf Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. Once in power, Hitler moved quickly to establish a dictatorship. The Reichstag fire in 1933 and the Enabling Act allowed him to pass laws without parliamentary approval. Political opponents were arrested, other parties were banned, and the Nazi regime began controlling every aspect of life. By 1934, after President Hindenburg's death, Hitler combined the roles of president and chancellor, becoming Führer, the supreme leader of Germany. In Hitler's Germany, every aspect of life was controlled. Children were taught Nazi beliefs in schools, and youth organizations like the Hitler Youth was established. Opposition parties and trade unions were banned. Newspapers and radios only spread Nazi-approved messages. Jews were segregated, stripped of rights, and eventually targeted for extermination. This is a famous speech of Adolf Hitler.
The seething squash of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Congress comes to an end. This year they say there are 800,000 pairs of boots standing heel to heel, waiting for the Führer's final speech. And the high spot comes when, after a detailed review of Nazi achievements, Hitler cries, "My life's fight has not been in vain."
Indem ich euch ihre Blicke weise ich, mein Lebenskampf ist nicht umsonst gekämpft. Sein Sowjet zeigen, soll er vor sich hertragen, und wir werden in unserem Zeichen wieder siegen.
Under Hitler's leadership, began rebuilding Germany's military and started violating the Treaty of Versailles. He annexed Austria in 1938, then took over the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia after the Munich Agreement. In 1939, he occupied the rest of Czechoslovakia. On September 1, 1939, Hitler invaded Poland. This act triggered World War II as Britain and France declared war on Germany. This invasion sparked World War II. The impact on world. Hitler's action plunged the world into its deadliest conflicts. From Europe to Africa to Asia, nations were drawn into a war of unprecedented scale. Germany conquered much of Europe with terrifying speed, the Blitzkrieg. But behind the front lines, a darker war was waged, the Holocaust. In 1945, Allied powers closed in on Berlin. You can see Hitler is going to his underground bunker in the last movement and meeting with the soldiers. On April 30, 1945, holed up in a bunker under his headquarters in Berlin, Adolf Hitler killed himself by swallowing a cyanide capsule and shooting himself in the head along with his wife Eva Braun. Soon after, Germany unconditionally surrendered to the Allied forces, and that was the end of the Nazi regime. I would like to show some beautiful paintings that Hitler painted and are rare photos. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching. Danke.